Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining this month's webinar. My name is Teresa Donahue, Brand Engagement Marketing Manager at Volusion. Today's webinar introduces you to our newest feature, Site Designer. It's our most updated site builder yet, created to empower merchants like you to create flexible and seamless storefronts with no coding required. Your subject matter experts presenting today's topic are David and Lindsay, two of our very own team members on the Volusion product team. With their knowledge and expertise, you will gain a better understanding of the site designer experience and benefits it can bring to your business. Before we get started, I wanted to mention, if you have any questions, please submit those in the chat section during the webinar. Tomorrow, we'll be sending out an email with a recording of the webinar and answers to your questions. So without further ado, I hope you enjoy today's webinar. David and Lindsay, I'll pass it over to you.
Hello, and thank you for joining us for our May webinar. I would like to introduce myself. My name is Lindsay Barrett. I'm here on the product team at Volusion. And I'd also like to introduce my colleague David Cummings, who leads our block development engineers, also known as our solutions team. We're really excited today because we get to showcase our brand new site designer experience currently in beta. Dave will be walking us through how to access the beta in your dashboard should you want to participate, and the steps to edit and publish a brand new Element storefront coming up next. For an agenda, we'll quickly hit on Element, the powerful technology powering Site Designer, chat about a few out of many fantastic Site Designer features, jump right into Element blocks, and then I'll hand it off to Dave to show us the tools. So without further ado, let's get started. First, what is Element? Element is what we call our modern rendering technology that powers Site Designer and an Element storefront. Delivering this new technology is what allows us to offer a fast and modern storefront with flexible site editing capabilities. No code required. In addition, Element also offers three main other benefits that we know you've requested for many years, which are better site speed, better SEO capabilities, and mobile responsive templates. We've delivered all of that with Element and Site Designer. And you may think it can't get much better. Well, it does. As mentioned, Dave will dive into the specifics, but a little bit about Site Designer first. Site Designer offers many new features in addition to our modern themes. One feature to highlight is our Add Page feature. No code changes are required to customize your storefront with a new page. You can now do so with just a click of a few buttons. Our team has been hard at work to offer 15 new and free Element themes. Browse and select a design that matches your business needs and will impress your customers in Site Designer. To keep adding on, we offer many ways to customize your new Element storefront. Another way to customize is by adding and removing blocks. As you can see here, blocks are basic units of Element that are arranged together to create a page. Think of like a Lego block. Blocks can be edited, added, removed, and reordered on a single page. A popular block that we offer is our blog block. With a few clicks, you can have your business blog on your storefront in minutes. Find many more blocks in Site Designer today. Now on to Dave to show us more.
Hey everyone, welcome to this Volusion webinar. I'm Dave Cummings and I'm going to walk you through how to build flexible storefronts with Volusion Site Designer. First, I'm going to walk you through the onboarding process. So I'm here on this Volusion storefront. You can think of this, pretend it's yours, and I'm logged into the admin. There's a couple things to note depending on which email and password you use to log in to your Volusion storefront. For this demo, we're going to be using an administrator account. And if you replicate the same steps that I'm doing, you should have a flawless onboarding process as well. There's a couple requirements. The first is your email has to be an administrator. So you can add new emails to this and make them administrators if you need to. And then the second is the password that you use has to meet the minimum minimum requirements for security, and that does include a special character of some sort. So you may need to update your password as well if you run into any problems. From here, we can go under settings, and you're going to see this first link called beta. This could say something different when you view this webinar in the months ahead, or if your store is already updated with the onboarding, then you could probably skip this video altogether. But for existing stores that are onboarding to the new storefront editor, you're first going to want to click this beta, and this pulls up an upgrade button where it says upgrade to element. So we'll go ahead and activate that. And what this is doing behind the scenes, it's taking that email and your password and it's tying it to the new store builder. And then once that process completes, it actually drops you here inside the site designer experience. You can see we're under design and there's site designer. So that's where we are. I want to reassure you, when you click that activate button, nothing changes to your store. So if we go and we view the live site, it's the same site. Nothing has changed here. Customers navigating the site, adding products to their cart, checking out. There's no disruption. All this is really doing is changing the navigation here and some of the links that display. So I can go ahead and click rollback, and this will give us a little message saying, are you sure you want to revert back to the legacy admin experience? And just to reiterate, that is the admin drop-down menus and links that are displaying, because some of those change. There's another message here saying it can take up to 10 minutes for your storefront to reflect the changes. That's only if we had published. So when I click rollback, the change is pretty much instantaneous. It's not going to take 10 minutes. We can now go back to that beta section. The activate button is there. If we go under design, you can see some of the other links that were missing are now back there. So you can see if you activate it and you start playing around with the site designer builder, and then you realize, oh, I actually need to make a change to my live theme and I need to access the file editor, you can just roll back. That link will be there again, and you'll be able to access it. So I'll go ahead and click activate again. It will take us over to the site designer, and then we can start to look at what the site builder does. But first, let's get familiar with a little bit of the lay of the land here. So we've talked about the top navigation, how you can still access all the other areas of your admin. We talked about the rollback button. For now, you don't have to worry about the publish button. That's only to be used when you're ready to actually launch your element site, which would replace your storefront theme. And that's going to be like the very last step, and does take 10 minutes. So you can just disregard the publish button. We're not really interested in that. You've got the design settings here. This is where you would globally change the colors and the fonts and the buttons, all that stuff, and it will cascade and affect all pages of the site. We have our preview button where we can preview and see what our element site designer theme would look like if we were to publish it, and it's fully operational. We can navigate to different categories and products and get a real sense of what would the site look like if I were to hit the publish button. And we also have this change theme. I think this is a good place to start right after you activate and you land here. Before you get into actually updating and changing blocks, first we can come over to this section, and there's a theme gallery button that we can click on. And this gives you all the different themes that are available. So you might see something that is kind of more related to the products you're selling, but know that all of these themes are built with the same blocks. So it doesn't really matter which theme you start with. You're still going to have the same blocks and all the different configuration options available to you to be able to achieve any of these designs that you're looking at. But you may see something that you like and you can click the preview, and that will, similarly to when we previewed from the site designer experience, we can actually preview the theme and have your products show up, and you can just kind of cruise around, and before you actually pick one, take a look at the different ones. We can hit exit and view a different theme, and if you see one you like, we can click get theme, and that is going to copy that theme over. So now we have the same experience as before, but a different theme. And if we click on the change theme button, you'll notice that we have the max theme that comes with the upgrade as the default theme. And now we have this nourish theme in our inactive themes. And from here, you can rename it. Oftentimes there'll be a number associated that you may not like, and you could just change this to whatever your store, whatever you want to call the theme. And then from here, you can also always get back to it by editing the theme, which would take you back into the site designer builder experience. And you can also duplicate themes. So say we had our max theme and we had made changes to it, we could click duplicate. And this gives you a little prompt saying, do you want to duplicate it with the published changes or with changes that you've made that you haven't actually published yet? And we can choose either of those, and then it makes a copy of your theme. So you may disregard the max theme altogether and find a different theme. And then anytime that you come to Site Designer, you'll be able to just click the edit. Even if it is an inactive theme, don't worry about it. This one says live. It's really not live until you publish the theme, and we don't want to do that until the end. So we can just click the edit. Some other things to note once you are in here is we've got a mobile preview, so we can take the site down and see what it's going to look like for our mobile users versus desktop users. These kind of highlighted blue blocks, these are just blocks that they're there for your admin to configure, but they're not actually visible. At least the blue sections are not going to be visible when you preview it. Some of them are there, like this divider is just there so you can select it easy. So now that we have a good understanding of the lay of the land in the admin, let's get into some of the more fun stuff of configuring the blocks and making the theme your own. Really, all you need to do is click on a block. It will open up the drawer, and then you could go through and you can change the images and make it your own. Swap out the text and just kind of go through the theme and just make it look like your live branding and theme. And you can delete blocks that you don't need and add new ones. I like to encourage people to first start off in the design settings, so they would go through and fill out their color palette. But before I do that, let me just kind of go back. I'm going to create kind of a blank canvas theme. And really, this is just giving me kind of like a fresh start. I have a header, which is using the sticky header. So when it scrolls, that header will persist at the top. I like that header. I'll probably stick with that. You can see these blocks that have these global green kind of icons. These are indicating that these are blocks that persist across every page of the site. So I really like to start with the global blocks and the design settings. So I'll go back up and we'll go into the design settings, and I'm just going to add a few colors here to the color palette. What this does is it's going to give me some color options to use and apply to the blocks as we go through and configure them. So it's just a good place to start. Let's see which one. I'll pick some colors here. So if you know the hex codes to your designs, you can, or you can also use this kind of slider that kind of helps you pick different colors, and you could go that route as well. Once you have your colors, you're just going to run through and apply them. And so we want like our link colors, we can update the hover states of those. You've got font options here. Let me move this out of the way, which you can give a little preview of what the font looks like. I think I'll just choose Lato to keep it consistent. And then you start to get into the buttons. So there'll be a little preview here. I think I'll just change that hover state. That looks pretty good. If we wanted to put a little effect on it, you can add the grow. You get the idea. So we've got our color palette there. The next area to get familiar with is pages. So this global templates pages with the green globe, we can click on that. And then anything we change here is going to apply to every page of the site. So I can click that plus icon there, which opens up the different categories of blocks that we have to choose from. I'm just going to pick the footer section because I'm looking for a footer. So there's a variety of different footers to choose from here. I'm going to choose maybe this one that has some columns. And then I can delete my old footer. I can delete it with the trash can there, or here there's a couple different places, and it'll ask you, are you sure you want to do this? We'll go ahead and say yes. And then from there I can click on the footer and just go through all the different sections and customize it just how I want. And so if I go back out to the pages section, we'll get into category and product pages a little bit later, but for now let's focus on the home page. So now you can see I'm on the home page, and I can just click add a block, and I think we add a block with an image and some text, and then we can go in and just start to kind of make this our own. I've uploaded some images here just for the sake of time. So you can choose an image, and then this description function says alt text for the image. So you can fill that out for SEO purposes and screen readers and stuff. And then you'll start to see it update here, and we can change the position. We can change this scale of the image, and this is a good place to maybe play around with mobile and see what it's actually doing. In the different views as you go through. You can adjust the width. So there's lots of different things within the block that you can play around with to make your own. And I'll grab some more text. Within here, you have options to play with the line spacing if you want. sizing, color overrides, alignment, all that good stuff, links if you need them. And change our button text. And then we could link that if we had a category or something we wanted to point that button to. So there's one block. Maybe I'll go in and add some more blocks here. I find sometimes it's easier to configure one of these and then you can add them. So you can go through each one and update it individually. And then we could change like the text. Maybe this one we don't actually want a button, and so we can go outside of this into the button settings and just maybe turn that button off. We could change the alignment of the text, or actually, sorry, that's applied to the button, so that's not going to apply there. And then once you get it just how you want, sometimes it's easier to just duplicate the one that you've configured just like you want. And just so I could remove those, and I could go through again each one individually, or I can just kind of start adding them once they're configured just so. And then you're really just changing the graphics and the text name. So yeah, you get the idea. Like, we can create these sections fairly quickly. If you want to play around with the spacing, you can go into the block settings and maybe give a little bit more space between blocks as needed. There's lots of different things. Maybe I'll add some homepage featured products, and there's different configurations options you can add there. And I'll just add one more. Or actually, let me show you this. So if we take this block, we've already configured it, and then we can do this toggle and just make it our own. And now it's linked. And so now if I come down and I go into the My Blocks section, I can take that text with image, and I can say make it a linked block, in which case it would be a mirror copy, and any changes we made to it would update in both places. Or if we do an unlinked version, it copies all the same settings, and then I can just come in and maybe change the graphic to be a little different. So you get the idea. From here, we can preview the site, and you can see, you know, we put together a home page fairly quickly, and we could get much more granular if we took the time. But the takeaway I want you to have is, you know, it shouldn't take you weeks to build something. You can spend an afternoon and make some good progress configuring blocks and making it match your your design, uploading images, this kind of thing. So now that we're kind of comfortable building a page, I think there's a few last items to run through before we can wrap this up. When you go out to your main site and you navigate to certain pages, you'll notice that all the pages still exist. So when I go to a certain page on my site, the URL is going to stay the same, even though this isn't an element page yet. And this might be a bad example, but any page on your site, the URLs don't change. So when you upgrade and you publish the site, you don't have to worry about losing any SEO traffic or links changing or anything. All of your old articles and various pages will still render and come through, but you might notice that they don't look exactly the same they did. And so what you can do in Site Designer is you can add pages and give it a title and a path, and just here, I'll just do one. You'll notice that it does prefix it with this page. So just creating the page isn't going to magically replace it with the existing one, but it will allow us to create pages. And then in the same way, we could come in and start adding an actual Site Designer page for that existing page and start to build it out. And then when you're ready and you want to publish this, if it's just linked in your navigation, you could use an alternate URL to point to the new page. It does have that page setting. So if we go to edit page settings, you can see, it prefixes it with page. So you would probably set up a 301 redirect, but you could launch, publish, and then still go back through and kind of go through pages that you find that you want to convert to element site builder pages, and they'll have better performance. You'll be able to maintain them through the block system in doing that. And that might just be something over time that you plan on doing as part of this. So you can add pages, you can redirect your old pages to new pages. And then I think lastly, just going through a couple of these more like template pages. So this being a category page, anytime somebody clicks on any category, the settings that you apply here are going to translate. So right here we have filters, but if you didn't want to display the filters, you could turn that off and those would move over. Category pages come with a quick shop option that you can turn on or off. You can see the little quick shop here. And so there's configuration settings in here. One setting to point out is this view, and we have an enhanced view and a legacy view. Enhanced view is just making some more modern style choices that are adopted nowadays. So instead of saying sale price, people typically will just have a strike through the old price and then showing the new. But if you wanted to keep some of those in place, you can just switch to the legacy view, and then you're going to see pretty much all of the original settings from your V1 storefront carry over into the element version of it. So that's what this view is doing, legacy or enhanced. It's entirely up to you which one to choose, but you may need to go through the blocks and just find those, and for consistency's sake, keep them the same. So that's the category page. Search results is very similar to category page. And then the product details page is also one that you'll want to get familiar with, and kind of, there's not a ton of settings. We'll be looking to add more here, but you can kind of adjust things as it relates to the zoom. If this product had alternate images, you could change the location, whether they are horizontal across the bottom or vertical on the left. Similarly, this has the enhanced legacy view. So the enhanced is using this tile view for for the product options. But if you change that to legacy, now you've got what you're probably familiar with the drop down select menus. And so that's what that option does. Lastly, I think we should cover this block here. So you may have asked yourself, what if I want to do things that the site builder doesn't support? Like it has certain font options and I want to add my own font option. You can use this block and add an external CSS file that has the CSS to load a separate font and apply it. You could do overrides that are, if you're used to working with CSS, you can link an external file. Similarly for scripts, if you wanted to add, your own live chat or accessibility kind of thing for accessibilities or whatever third-party script, if it's an external file or a CDN or something, that you can just put the path in there, and then it does have some options to control like when it loads and this type of thing. If you had a Google site verification tag that you needed to show up in just the meta description in your site, you would do that through this meta tags. And then lastly, we have Google Tag Manager, where it's all wired up. All you do is put your Tag Manager ID here and turn it on, and then that will connect your Tag Manager, which really allows you to do a lot more. It's a really powerful industry-wide tool that people use to manage scripts, which ones load on certain pages, tracking scripts, all sorts of stuff that can be managed within Google Tag Manager. So we'd probably recommend getting familiar with that. If you go out to our help center, and you just type in Tag Manager from there, you should get some articles here that will help you. So there's a couple in here. There's one that just walks you through that block and how to configure it and all the things in the help center. And then there's another one that walks you through a bunch of starter tags. So we actually have tags that you can import that will allow you to get up and running if you're not already using Tag Manager pretty quickly with a lot of commonly used tags like out of the box. And this will walk you through how to set all that up. So I think that's a good summary of how to onboard to the site builder, how to configure blocks, how to kind of approach where to start with your design settings, your global blocks, configuring, external scripts, using the preview, and once you get to this point where you've got a working site with all of your pages, you've kind of run through everything. I will note one thing that you won't be able to add to cart. The checkout piece of this won't work until it goes live, but you can get pretty far. And once you think you're in a good space, at that point, we can go ahead and click the publish button, and it will ask you, are you sure you want to publish this? And you can click publish. And then it tells you this can take 10 minutes or so before it will populate. And that's it. You've published your new Site Designer theme, and it's replaced the old version of your theme. And if for some reason at this point you go to the site after 10 minutes and you realize something's not working or it's not what you expected, you can always just click roll back, and that will take it back. And we say 10 minutes, but it's actually more about six or so minutes. We just say 10 to be safe. So that's all I've got for you today. I appreciate your time, and I hope you have a great day. See you next time.
Thanks, Dave. Lots of good things were covered today. One last thing to keep in mind, and a feature that current beta testers enjoy, is the fact that site edits to an element theme will not interrupt your site's existing shopping experience. The rollback process saves all site changes, and activating Site Designer is just a click of the Activate button in your settings menu. For some, you may currently have access to Site Designer. More information will follow on when Site Designer will be available to the rest of the platform. We'll also share more details on how to join our incentive program in a follow-up email. Thanks so much for joining us today. Have a great day.
Thank you, David and Lindsay, for sharing your knowledge and thoughts on Volusion Site Designer. We hope you are eager to try out this new feature and experience firsthand what Site Designer can do for your storefront. Keep an eye out for that email from us tomorrow, which will include today's webinar and answers to your questions. Thanks again for joining us. Have a great rest of your day.